I want you guys primarily using this form right here. I think this will help. We have Teresa and we have Sharon writing a lot of the offers, Justin as well. And I think it's easier for them to read using this form. And definitely when it trickles down to me, it's easier for me because I can see what the MLS price is, what it's on the MLS for, and then how you did your math for me to be able to determine whether or not it's a good deal or not. And so oftentimes I've been able to say it's a good deal and you guys have made offers. I think I want you guys to take it another step. And that the next step is once you get a ratified contract, and we've been getting ratified contracts, I want you guys to go buy the property, whether you go inside the property or just drive by. I want you guys to drive by the property and take pictures, videos, because we're making offers in the blind to save time, which is fine. I like that. We're making offers in the blind, but we really don't actually know if it's going to be a good deal, or we've got to be able to verify the repair costs, the estimated repair costs. And so I want you guys to actually go buy the properties. So I went by a property today that got ratified and it was on a block in Baltimore full of board ups. On that block, there may have been 2 houses that weren't boarded up, but everything else on the block was boarded up. And so it would save me time, number one, if you guys, at the very least, once we got a ratified contract, at least you drove by. And then the reality is, when we're wholesaling, you have to go buy the property. Like what we're doing is really, it's good, it's efficient, but it's not that realistic to be able to find a property on Redfin or the MLS, do the numbers, send it, push it to one of the agents to write the offer, and then get a ratified contract, and then that's it. That's not reality. The reality of a wholesaler is they're actually going to a property, meeting an owner, negotiating with the owner, having seen the neighborhood inside the house to be able to determine the repair costs, to write the numbers. So I just want you guys to take the extra step for me, because I'm coming from Bowie all the way to Baltimore, because I have a time period in the contract that says, I have a contingency in the contract that says I've got to determine whether or not we're going to go through with the property or not. Or there's a time period for me to use the home inspection contingency to get out the contract if I need to get out. We got a ratified contract, no one's looked at it. In a lot of cases, there's not enough pictures on the MLS or on Redfin. We at least need to do a drive-by, if not go into the property to do a proper inspection. Now, we've done inspections and they've worked out, and we're closing deals, but I want you guys to take that extra step. Any questions on that? Make
So
sense?
when you say to go in, you mean to physically see the property before the 3 of us, meaning you, me, and the homeowner, actually gets there and start negotiating?
No. No, this is after you've made the offer and the offer's been approved or ratified. Now we have a ratified contract. Now the clock starts ticking. We've got a contingency period of what, 5 days, 10 days, 7 days, whatever's in the contract, to get out the contract if we need to get out the contract.
Gotcha.
What I'm saying is, I want you guys, let's say we get a ratified contract today, by tomorrow, at the very least, I want you guys to go into the property or at least do a drive-by, do video, show me. And if I say, okay, it's still worthy for me to actually go out, I still want to go out. But like the one I saw today, if someone would have done that, that would have saved me a trip. Because the
Gotcha.
whole block, you could have done a video on the whole block. And I would have said, no, this is probably not a good one for us. And the house looked like it needed probably at least $150,000 worth of repairs. It was a shell. And we probably only used maybe 30, 40, $50,000 for repair costs. Is that did I make that clear? You guys understand?
Makes sense.
Yes.
All right. All right. So that's all I have. I'll talk about contractors, but you guys have anything for me? Any questions?
Took my sheet one step further with my team because we write so many offers and the ARV was like off a little bit sometimes. I'm trying to find it. Can you I sent you a copy via email, didn't I?
Of what?
Of my sheet that I'm using for my team. Can you give me your screen for a minute and I'll show you?
Oh, the spreadsheet?
No, not the spreadsheet. I did a new MAO sheet for my team.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I can share. Here we go. Okay, so this is what I did with my team. I got it so that I know who it came from, the complete property address. But what changes is down here, is these are the comps. And then if you're using Bennett Team Properties, I need to know if we're making the offer in their name or what other LLC am I making the offer in. So this way I can kind of glance at these comps and pull them up. And if I don't see them, I'm like, okay, where'd they come from? I can see, with the date. They've been also giving me the date that they closed. And I can see that that's like 8 months out instead of 6. So this is making it real easy for me to just have a sheet at a glance.
No, that's really good.
So,
That's
well,
that's
thank
really
you.
good.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to show you.
Sharon, would you feel comfortable circulating that to people who are not outside of your group?
No, I feel comfortable. It's okay.
Okay.
You want me to shoot you one?
Yes, please.
Do I have your email?
I can text it to you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for that, Sharon. Anybody else have any questions? Luis, did you have a question?
I did. I'm sorry, I couldn't get to my mute button fast enough. I have two questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. First question, we kind of discussed earlier the OTC property. And you kind of schooled me on that one. And so you wanted me to bring that up, which I feel comfortable bringing up. Did you want to talk about that one?
Go ahead and explain that. For those that don't know, explain to them what an OTC property is. I think most of
Yeah,
them,
so
but yeah, just explain that.
got you. So I went on a tax lien. I went on the government list, and it's over the counter properties. These are properties that is that over the counter, right, Greg? Over the counter?
You're over the
Yeah.
counter.
Well, they're properties that went previously for a tax lien sale of sort and didn't even get looked at. And the government just takes it off of the tax lien sales, and what they do is they put it on a list. And if you go and apply for this list, you can just buy the property outright. That doesn't, in Baltimore, if you buy it, it doesn't mean it's yours initially. You still have to go through the proceedings of foreclosure, etc. And also they recommend you make sure there's no tax liens on it, and they also recommend do a drive-by. And so I kind of checked some of the boxes, and then I reached out to Greg and one of my colleagues within my group, and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And Alex didn't think it was a good idea. I don't think. Well, I don't put words in his mouth, but I said, "What do you think about this neighborhood?" He's like, "Not good." And I don't really hear Alex say that too much. And so, and then I ran it past Greg, and Greg was like, "Nah, there's too many boarders in the area." So it is what it is.
I know that IKEA went to that office. So IKEA, why would you think that there's properties on that list, on the OTC list? Why would a property have slipped through, you think? What are some of the reasons?
Well, so, and it was Valerie and I, so we had pulled the OT list from 2024. So regarding those who have slipped through, and they give you the latest and greatest. So if something slipped through that was of like great value, it probably has already been like bought, right? So the list that we got, I mean, the lien amounts 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 150,000. Granted, there were some that were like 7, 8, like low, but it was like boarded up. They were not good properties that, I mean, granted, if you want to buy it and then kind of move to for foreclosure and then sit on it, you could do that. But yeah, and I think there was one property I looked, it had a small lien on it, but I ran it through PropStream. It had a significant mortgage on it. But well, if you move to foreclosure, the mortgage would be wiped away. But yeah, at this stage, if it's still on that list, it's probably beyond those who have slipped through the cracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to foreclose on those, would you?
You can foreclose immediately.
Oh, you
Because-
can foreclose immediately on OTC. Okay.
Yeah, so you still have to move through foreclosure, but you don't have to wait to
No redemption period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have a question. So this OTC list, is this listing, would it be on that same website that Greg showed us about tax liens, or is this something else for the state, some other type of website?
Yeah, they actually do have that, but they don't have it now. They said that they're going to put their list out at their OTC list out at the end of the year. So you would have to actually go to Baltimore City, where Akia and Valerie went. Were you guys able to purchase that list?
Mm-hmm. We did.
You were able to purchase the list. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Hey, Greg.
yeah.
$10. Yeah.
Greg, I got my list from Parcel Fair.
Oh, you did get it from Park. So
Yeah,
so
it's in the filter.
so that's what Hattie was talking about. So Hattie, it is there. I
Okay.
didn't see it on there.
Yeah, when you go into filters, it says let's see, I got it right here. When you go into filters, you have to go under it says type of property. Inventory. So go under inventory. When you click inventory, that's not going right now, but when you click inventory, it should pull up.
So I'm here now.
All right, hold on. Go to it's either inventory and occupancy. It's one of these filters. I got it off this website. So
Is it search filters?
yeah, there's search filters, yes.
Search filters, yeah.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, mine is not clicking, but if you click inventory, it should be there under inventory.
Okay,
Is
perfect.
yours open now?
Mine is open, but let me just take
Oh yeah, yours is open right there. Go to search filters. No, go to over here, search filters on the right hand side. There you go. And click inventory. You had it. You had it.
I had it up.
Yeah, go to search filters over here.
Oh.
You just clicking away.
Okay, go.
There you go. So, okay, you're good. This is where you want to be at. And then go under inventory to the left.
Okay.
Did you just click?
Yeah, it's not letting me click on it.
Yeah, mine's it let me click the other day. So I was
Does
able
it
to
need
get
to
off.
change
This is
the
where I got my
state?
listing. There. Let's see
Yeah,
if
it's
I
not
can-
letting me click on it.
I'll just play with it,
Okay.
but thank you for the info.
No problem. Go to Anne Arundel. Go to Anne Arundel. Yeah. You're welcome, Hattie. Yep. Now go to inventory.
So this gives you the list, the
There you go.
OTC
See
list.
OTC? Yes.
So look, it looks like some of the they have it for some of the jurisdictions.
At no cost.
Well, you've got to pay for parcel fare.
So you do have to
Yeah.
pay to get the list.
No, you have to pay for the software, and
Okay.
the list is there as an option.
Gotcha.
And I think maybe the issue with that inventory is depending on when the auction was held or when, when it's scheduled. Because I've noticed some sites I go to, if the auction isn't for like a month, I can't access certain things.
Right.
Got it.
And then
Hey,
this,
Greg, if you go, Greg, I don't mean to cut you off. If you go back, I found a problem. The problem is we have to go into Baltimore City. Yep. Good. Go to inventory.
no, it's not letting me.
Really? Okay, it let
But
me.
he said in a video that that Baltimore City won't have theirs until the end of the month.
Greg,
Okay.
well, you have a in your filter, you have a zip code that I think is not in Baltimore City.
Oh,
If you go
is that what it
back,
does?
yeah.
Okay.
You said we have to purchase this software. How much is this a month?
Well, it's free for how long? Is it 30 days? It's
I think it's free for 7 days.
for 7
It's,
days.
it's
Underneath,
limited though. It's limited. When you go for the free thing, it's limited.
Luis, do you have a code that gives us like a
I
discount
do.
or something on a membership? So Luis, yeah, he shared it with our
And
group.
then-
He has a code that gives us a discount, I think.
well
on
then,
a-
It does.
sorry, Greg, you also have to remove availability of 2025. Yeah, to just all available. And then inventory, you should be able to go to OTC. It's still grayed out for you? That's weird.
Sharon might have been right about the whole thing about auction.
That's weird.
What about the improvements category? Does that need to be taken out?
Greg, if you
So
hit
Greg,
go, what happens?
What was the question?
If you hit go, what happens? Because it
Oh,
says 7271 matching properties.
it's going to show all the Baltimore City properties that are up for auction.
Okay.
All these are up for auction.
Got it.
But then, so this is all Baltimore City. But if you want to put like a zip code so this is Curtis Bay. You can just click on a property and then it'll give you the full details of the property. So this one, it's being auctioned off. The taxes due are $2,000 right here. And then it runs the comps for you, the rental comps. And then this site is powerful. It even has skip tracing if you want to skip trace to get the owner's name and number. It has a address for the owner, and then these are the comps. And so this is for Baltimore. which I don't see, it's the 19th. So May 19th is the auction.
Registration ends on the 9th.
So,
If you want to be a part of the auction,
yeah.
registration ends on the 9th.
So, but if I was you guys interested in this, what I would do, I just put in all of Baltimore, but I would focus more so on a zip code.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying Baltimore City, I would narrow it down to like a zip code. So here I have 21217 as an example. So it gives me 811 parcels. And then you can you can kind of play with the map and go to whichever, like here's Bolton Hill, Sandtown, Winchester. Charles Village is up there, but that's not, so Upton. And then you just play with it.
Hey, Greg. Also, have you ever downloaded a list from there?
I've gone to the download.
Okay.
Gone to the
Because
download.
you can download these lists. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah. I think it's over here somewhere, right? Where you can download.
Yep. Right there.
Right here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a lot. Yeah, you're right. It makes it a lot easier.
What is that website again?
It's called Parcel Fair. Can somebody please put it in the chat for me? Parcel Fair.
.com.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
And
put
there's
the yeah. Go ahead,
I was gonna say it for you, Luis. You go ahead and say it.
I put a code in there because I know the owner. He's a cool dude. So I got the if you type in Louis tax lien, you get $15 off. Greg, I hope you don't mind me plugging that in.
No, I just wish I had known before I bought it.
Same.
Louise
too.
now? Let me see.
Luis, do you get kickbacks?
Yes,
Oh,
just like you. If you use my code, you get a kickback. So we both get a kickback.
oh, that's cool.
What is it, Louise 15? What's the code, Louise?
It's a Louis tax lien, and
Okay,
you
I see
get
on top right
$15 off. Yeah,
Oh,
altogether.
Louise tax name.
Yeah, I used it. I got $15 off as well.
For me, it's just worth it because it gives you everything, everything you need.
It's easy to use. I mean, Greg, you did that presentation and I went out the next day and looked at it. I couldn't believe how simple it was, the way it just dissected everything down.
Yeah.
And Greg, have you ever used a feature when you pull up a property? When you pull up one of those properties on the right-hand side, oh yeah, go into details, full details. When you pull up the property, when you go scroll down, on the right-hand side right there, Baltimore City County links, owner research, owner skip trace, property research. I think you also get an option where they can videotape and take a picture of the property if you want. In some states they do that. I don't know about Baltimore.
Right.
But
It's right here.
there you go. Yeah. So you were talking about earlier about taking a look at the area. You can do it like that.
There's a cost to this. I can't remember how much.
I think so. I think so. I don't know. I've never used it.
Yeah. Yeah. I clicked on this and this will give you a view of the street.
Yeah. And you see the bottom left-hand corner? That's my favorite one. Hanging out with Alex in Baltimore, you get to see where the property is at. Like, oh, this is close to this park, or this is close to this area. I like that feature.
So then the question is, like this particular property, looks like it's on West Landvale. is it worth buying it at the auction, given that there's board ups on the street? But for me, the street doesn't look that bad. Especially if you improve this particular house. Now you're just contending with this one over here. And then if you can get this property for, the amount due is high on this one. So the amount due on this particular one is 41,000.
And Greg, too, from that Google Maps view, it does say it's from 2014. So that's why it's like you said, it is like you may drive by it and see like no boarded up, right, in 2025. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that area, and to your points, interesting you chose that one, Greg, because that area does have good value. It depends on what street you're on, but the church right there, Bethel AME, I drove through there the other day. That's Druid Heights, Marble Hill area, and they were demolishing some properties. There are others that are up for multi-units there, so it's a real interesting spot right in that section. It's interesting you landed on that one.
But the tax liens, they're not guaranteed, so you might win the tax lien sale, but that doesn't mean someone can't come behind you and redeem it. And Cammy and I were talking about that, and we were like, there's a lot of people out there that just let it go. And Greg, I think you touched on it a couple classes ago, that these business owners don't know the game that well, and they end up, losing their properties to taxes. And so some of them, I don't know why they do that. It's crazy. It's a crazy amount of money to be paid on a regular basis.
Yeah, but you're saying that you might not win, but for me, there's no losing. You can't lose on this. Somebody tell me why.
Because you're getting the interest and
Get your money back.
penalties.
Interest on the money, yeah.
Yeah, getting interest and penalties. And then if somebody beats you out and they want to foreclose on it, they got to roll up and pay you.
You'll never lose that principal.
The principal
That's
from
true.
Maryland, I think, is
Ever
what,
lose it.
18%?
Yeah, you never lose your principal on tax liens.
That's true, but your money's going to be tied up
up.
the whole time. I had two properties in Colorado, and my money I had $7,000 tied up for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's long term.
Yeah, it can be.
It's a vehicle. Yeah, it's a long-term vehicle.
As
But
Greg
Greg-
says, if you can't afford to lose the money, don't put it down, right?
Don't do it.
But don't you lose the premium amount, the overage, the 40% over?
Depends on the state. But you might be right. I think you're right, Candy.
I didn't think that you got that back.
And that's if there is a premium.
No, you don't. What do you mean by that, Cammy?
So like the 40% of the assessed value, it was that worksheet that they have on the website. So if it's like $7,000 assessed value, 40% is 2,800. You bid over 2,800. Let's say the lien is only $600. You don't get anything over 2,800 back. You'll get everything else but.
Right. That's right. I wanted to pull up Lanham because I know a few of you guys target Lanham. So this is the list for Lanham. And one thing that I do is I go to the amount owed right here, this column, and just kind of look through to see. And you guys from Lanham, so for example, this one, there's $1,100 dollars owed, and so if you click here, now you can see this is Tyler. So this Tyler Street, this is sort of like what I would consider Glen Arden area. And so on this one, and I can send you guys that list I just pulled. So it's got a value of 312. Well, actually, the ARV is what they're saying. The ARV is 365,000. Those are the comps. These are the rental comps. This is when's the 13th? Next week. So this is next week in Prince George's County. So I can print out a list if you guys want. Louise, let me ask you a quick question and then we'll move on. In terms of these tax sales, is there a certain strategy behind them that you know of? I kind of looked all over the internet. For example, this one is 1,134,000 taxes due. This one is 500, I'm sorry, 5,600. Will more people bid on this one because it's lower than this one?
The answer to your question, I would
Okay.
think yes. I
Yeah.
would think yes, because naturally people go for the lower cost. But
More
that
competition
doesn't.
on that.
Right, but the thing about the lower ones is eventually they're going to get higher, and so more people bid on it. The money's going to be higher to go for those. You
Well,
get what I'm saying?
I was thinking the lower ones have a better chance for the homeowner to redeem,
Yes, yes, yes.
as opposed to maybe bidding on something like this. If you had the money to tie up where you've got less competition and it's a little higher. And then another column that we didn't look at is whether the property is vacant or not. Because if it's vacant, see how it says occupied? So this one over here is vacant.
Mm.
And so another thing that I noticed is if the ones that are vacant with a higher tax amount, to me, and I could be wrong, Luis, those properties aren't being redeemed because people have already moved out.
It could be. One strategy. I won't say his name, but one guy, what he does is he reaches out to these people before they go to the sale.
Definitely. Well, yeah, before it goes to the sale and during the redemption period.
Yep.
And Greg, if I could also add in, so I've been playing around with Parcel Fair. I know Luis shared it with me, and then we had the class where you also talked about it. There is an option where you can put owners live out of state, which I would say that's a strategy, right? If the owner's not in state, there could be a less of a care to even,
Yeah, because it's a rental property, probably.
Yeah, and Greg, I know of at least, you're talking about strategy. I know of at least one developer who targets those kinds of properties, and they've gotten about 4 or 5 of them. And they were actually shells, but they just felt like nobody else was going for it. They got it, and after a period of time, they foreclosed, and then they turned it into a house. So
they target what type of property? Just these tax foreclosures?
They did, because there were some, the street that they wanted to develop on, there were actually like 2 or 3 of them. So what they did is they were in such disrepair, they just showed up and bid, and they actually got both of them
Okay.
through the foreclosure process.
Okay.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
Kevin and I, we just attended a tax lien session here in Baltimore this evening. And we walked away with some good nuggets, including the fact that there are over 20,000 properties that are going up for auction on the 19th, and that they are going to be auctioned off in 8 batches. And each batch is by the hour starting at 9 a.m. And one of the good things that we took away from that session was that you're likely to win if you target your bidding towards the latter batches, because you have to have your money in, you have to select by the 16th, if I'm not mistaken, and you have to have your money up and everything. And so as they start the bidding, batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, you say you have X amount of money, $10,000, and then you win, then you no longer have any money. And so therefore, when you get closer to the lower bids, batches 7 and 8, fewer people have money. to bid anymore. So therefore, there are more opportunities where you have of winning something.
But let me ask you a question, Valerie. Are the batches grouped by like geography?
No, it's alphabetical.
Alphabetical street
Yes,
name? Oh,
alphabetical streets.
okay. Well, what about streets where it's like, for example, Landville, where it's like they are in the same geographic location and they'll fall in that, you know, that same batch. And even like I have my eyes on West Cross Street in Pigtown. So arguably like it'll be like West Cross, I guess, yeah, it'll be West Cross, and then West Landville.
If
So
the street starts with the W, it'll be down in the W section of the alphabet.
irregardless of the area. Okay.
It's, yes, not by areas. We were told it's alphabetical streets.
Yeah. But
And
someone,
something else to keep in mind when you are doing your research, due diligence, as far as having interest in properties, you want to look at the water bills for the property, because those can be very, very high. And in addition to what you're bidding, you're also responsible possibly for a portion of that.
Of the water bill? Yeah.
Yes. So if the water bill was, say, $1,300 before the auction, and now the water bill is $1,400 at the time that you win the auction, then you're responsible for the bid that you won plus $100 of that water bill.
Oh, okay.
That happened to me, Valerie.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I
Was it
got
an
informed.
astronomical amount?
No, it was about 1,000. I got notified, and she gave. And this is Colorado, different state. She gave me the option to pay it and keep the property, and maybe get a chance of the guy not redeeming it, or not pay it, and then they would resell it or do whatever. They would re-auction it somewhere else, and I'd get whatever I got from it. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah, so
right.
there seem to be 3 different stages of this auctioning. The auctioning, of course, that takes place on the 19th, and then 2 or 3 days later comes what's called the assignment sale, which is those properties that didn't, get picked up at the auction. And then even after that second step, there's the property list, of which that's what Aaliyah and I and several others were able to purchase for $10.
Aaliyah.
I'm sorry, Kia, my bad. You know I'm talking about you, girl.
IKEA and IKEA. I was there too.
That's right, IKEA and IKEA. Charge it to my head, not my heart. You know the saying.
Excuse me, Valerie, what did you say the first, you said there's 3 stages, and you said, I didn't hear what you said the first stage. The first stage is the actual auction itself, right?
Right, it's the actual auction.
Okay. And then the second is the assignment stage?
The assignment sale, which is
Sale.
those properties that weren't picked up at the initial auction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Valerie, in October will be the bulk sale. Did
Right.
you talk about that? Okay.
Mm-hmm. We didn't touch on that today.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But Kia, he will meet again on next Tuesday, the 13th.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to
Mhm.
go to the one today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Valerie, let me know about that as well.
Will do.
Me as well, Valerie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So even though, so the auction to register, as we know, if we don't know, it's $100. And even if you don't plan to participate in the auction, at least you get access to the system and get yourself kind of acclimated so that you're ready for the next one. If not, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, which is coming up, I think it's June 22nd is that auction.
Yep.
And it also lets you see the final bids on certain properties. So, you know, properties that you may have been interested in, now you can see the final, you know, bid that won. So there's some value still in, you know, investing that $100.
And Valerie, do you have access to the assignment sale if you don't sign up for the first one?
You actually, I'm trying to remember, you actually have, there's an email. I'm trying to remember. There is a process. You notify, there's this committee, and you notify the committee that you're interested in a property, and they kind of determine themselves who gets the property. Like if 10 people are interested in this property that did not, was not picked up at the auction, then this committee determines, you know, like eeny, meeny, miny, mo is from what I understand as far as who will actually get that property.
Interesting.
They're both, if they did the same thing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the buyer. I have a question for, does anybody have any hard time getting an attorney to file for the foreclosure before? For the foreclosure for any of these properties that you pick up for as tax
haven't
lien?
had to go through it, but I do have an attorney.
Oh, okay. Because I used to buy for tax lien before the pandemic. I used to buy it after the auction. I bought some from Anne Arundel, some from PG County. There was one that nobody came to claim it, so took me a long time to find an attorney to do the foreclosure. So finding an attorney can be something that you have to line up because it's a timeline that you have to file it. But you can't lose with it. I always get my interest, like 20% interest. I always get it. If they come to redeem it, I always get my how much I paid for it, and then also like 20%. They have to pay. That's one thing. Actually, it's better than CD. If you want if you want something, if you want your money to be safe, I think that's one. Somebody said tax lien has a higher priority than even IRS. IRS tax, yeah, tax lien, yeah, it does.
Definitely better than the stock market.
Yeah, it sure does.
All right, you guys, any other questions, comments about anything that we've talked about before we move on?
Greg, I got a question outside of what we talked about. I pulled a list the other day and I asked Keith about this, and Keith said, make sure I bring it up to you. And on there were condos. Is condos in our, should we go after condos, or do you say no or yes to that?
I would say, I would say no, but I wouldn't say a hard no. And I think it depends on where it's at. And so, I don't know, as a general rule, I stay away from condos, but I do remember during the recession that a lot of investors were buying up condos because they were incredibly inexpensive, and they were renting them out with the hopes that the market would get better and they'd be able to flip the properties. You've got to contend with the fact that a lot of the condo associations have, I forget what it's called, Sharon might know, the owners, there can't be a certain percentage of owners not paying the condo dues. I forget what that's called.
50%.
Yeah, and I think it's higher, a little higher than that. But and so they were buying them for dirt cheap, renting them out, and in better areas. So at the time it was Greenbelt, because there was a lot of University of Maryland college students that they could rent to, and then their hope was it was a long-term investment, and it worked out for them. But for the most part, there's not a lot of, and I'm glad you brought that up. There's not a lot of cash buyers. If you're wholesaling, there's not a lot of cash buyers that will buy condos. So for that reason alone, I would steer away from condos. And then if you want to hold, then maybe that's a different story. I do have some of my investors that initially started off buying condos. Marquis, Steve, and Leon, if you guys know them, they kind of started their careers off buying condos and just kind of went from there, and they still have them. So, but as a rule, I don't buy condos. I have bought, my very first property I ever bought was a condo in DuPont Circle. But other than that, I kind of, there's not a lot of, like I said, especially if you're wholesaling, you're not going to find many, if any, cash buyers that want to buy condos that you're going to assign a condo to. And it's a good question because when you guys are looking for properties, whether they're a condo or not, I also want you to keep in mind whether you'll be able to wholesale that property, or even if that property is wholesalable. Because most of you guys are wholesalers. You guys are finding properties. Number one, I want you to make sure that you're doing the right numbers, but then number two, you want to be able to say to yourself, this is a good deal, and there's going to be a number of people that's going to want to buy this property. Just always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind.
Hey, Greg, hey, to that point, I'm curious to know, I guess I should know this, but what are the ARVs that you're looking for in Baltimore? In other words, if the ARV is 120,000, is that good enough for you if you were considering flipping it or holding it?
No, I'm looking for ARVs around, I'll say between 220 and 300.
Okay.
That's just in Baltimore.
Right.
In DC,
Right.
much higher. In DC, much higher. Double that.
Yeah, I just kind of want to know, I guess from my own knowledge, if I'm looking in Baltimore, I find properties, but if the ARV is not, if it's not high, like the numbers that you just mentioned, then I'm, in my mind, I'm thinking probably not going to be high enough for other cash buyers.
I will say this also, kind of to Luis's question. You guys are going, I said this to somebody this week, you're going to find more cash buyers in DC and Prince George's County than, and this is just my opinion, than you're going to find in like Baltimore. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be looking in Baltimore, but you're going to find more cash buyers. I told one of you guys that like yesterday or today. I would say there's more cash buyers that in our area that want DC. And then I would say Prince George's County. Then I would say Baltimore. And then for you, the wholesaler, your wholesale fees are going to be a lot higher in those areas in that order as well. Honestly, doing the same amount of work in the same amount of time. Just FYI, just FYI. All right, let's talk about contractors. You guys have questions about contractors? Let's talk about our contractors. So for me, contractors are necessary. They're part of the process, whether you're wholesaling, buying and holding, fixing and flipping. They're necessary. They're part of the process. And so it just honestly behooves us to try to form a relationship with contractors. Can contractors be challenging? They can be. They can be challenging, but just know trying to form a good relationship with a contractor will take you very, very far in this industry, very far as being an investor. Have I had to fire contractors. I have. Have I hired the same ones back? I have. I was talking to a contractor, I mean, an investor, one of our investors, our older investor, Genesis Saturday. Some of you guys know Genesis. And I was in DC with her. We were in DC with her. And one thing that struck me was that she had hired this contractor and she said he messed up the money, that she had 3 projects going on at the same time. And he was basically, what's it called? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. Is that what it's called? That's biblical, I think. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. Did I say that right, Pastor?
We got your point. We got your point.
So the contractor was taking money given to him from one project and putting it on another project. And then by the time the project that I looked at, the contractor had milked these because he ran out of money. And so you just want to make sure that, you know, number one, you have a draw schedule, scope of work, they know what it is. If you are doing multiple projects at the same time, which prayerfully we all get there, you keep everything separate, keep money separate. I have used the same contractors on multiple projects, but it might be a good practice to have 2 or 3 contractors and use, you know, different contractors.
She also said, Greg, how he was counting her pockets, which I realized with my new contractor, like, I don't even own this house. I'm just you know, I think I said it was a property manager or something, just because, you know, people go in, they see, oh, you have money. And I just feel like that's also a good point.
And so another point is you always cry broke with your contractors. Always say it's too expensive. I don't have the money. The money is tight. You always want to cry broke. So why contractors make or break your project? They're profit killers, delays, cost overruns, change orders, and poor workmanship. I do have a contractor now that, to be honest with you, the workmanship is poor. But if I was to point it out, he would go back and fix it. But I never have an issue with his numbers. I never have an issue. He's done projects for me, and really, when he has money, he's not even asked for a draw. But the workmanship is not that good. And so, like, you weigh it, you know, do I keep them? The workmanship is not good, but it gets through the project, not milking me for the money. There's really never, ever any change orders unless they're legitimate. And so those are some of the things you start thinking about. And I would honestly say, I don't know that there's the perfect contractor. I just don't know. And when you find the perfect contractor, guess what? It's going to cost you. So
You hang on to a contractor if their work isn't good.
Say that again.
Why would you hang on to a contractor if their work wasn't good?
I'm not saying it's not good. It's just, I've always got to walk around at the end with blue tape. And I've got to put the blue tape,
Your
on
punch list.
you know, more than I should have to. But to his credit, he goes and he fixes them all with a smile on his face. So when I do my walkthroughs with them, all right, and so I'm comfortable. I've had a long relationship with them, but if you were to ask me, is his workmanship good? I would say no, and I tell him. For that reason, I make sure that they come back. I make sure that I stage, so that the eyes aren't on the workmanship, but the costs are always perfect for me. The deal disasters. Hiring the wrong contractor can turn a great deal into a disaster. I've had disasters, you guys. I've had it. but you can't, I was thinking on Saturday, one of my takeaways from looking at Genesis House on Saturday is how can overall we keep from having these disasters? You're like, what can you do? What are some systems that you can put in place so that, like, for her, a lot of her projects are disasters, and she calls me in the end to take a look at it. Now, hers was in part a disaster because she over renovated the property for where the property's located. She over renovated. She put in, not all her fault, but she put in over $200,000 in a southeast renovation where I don't know. I probably would have put in maybe around half of that, and probably would be able to sell it for the same amount. For example, there was a garage there where she totally renovated the garage, and she poured a slab next to the garage for extra parking space, and there's street parking. What I would have done was I would have torn down the garage, and with the slab that the garage is on, just repaired that. Because a DC homeowner, they're not expecting, especially it's in Southeast, they're not expecting a garage with a garage door, opener, and a slab next door for right next to it for a driveway. So it was like overkill for me. The solution, vetting and negotiating the right way from the start. Now, keep in mind, you guys, and this is being recorded, but keep in mind that just like anything else that I've taught you guys, with contractors, everything is negotiable. And whatever price they give you initially, in my mind, they're going to come down. 5,000, 10,000, they're going to come down. They're going to come down on the price. Because let's say, for example, they offer whatever it is, 50,000. And you agree. What I've taught you about negotiation is there needs to be some pain in the negotiation. They offer 50, you accept 50. Is there any pain there? There's no pain there. And so you want to make sure that you negotiate, because what they offer initially is not what they'll eventually take. And then also remember that most contractors need the business. So you have the leverage. One thing also, while it's on my mind, it behooves you guys to learn as much as you can about the construction process. Learn as much as you can. If you're a wholesaler, you want to make sure that you're wholesaling to cash buyers that will allow you to shadow them throughout the process. So you can be there asking questions about the process, step by step, what different things cost. And you guys have a sheet in your toolkit, but you've got to know the process, because when they come, because they will try to cut corners and get over on you. And the more you know, the less they can take advantage. Almost to the point where, well, I actually have a few of my coaching students and agents like Marquise. You guys know Marquise, but then I've had Diana Z, I think Jade. They've all went and got their contractor's license, just so that Marquise does do work. But most of them has just got their contractor's license just for the knowledge. But they do have their license. And a lot of the projects that they actually do, and I'm not suggesting that you guys should do it, but a lot of the projects that they do, they're hiring their own subs. All right, common contractor nightmares. Ghosting after a deposit is paid. What does that mean? Ghosting after a deposit is paid. So you guys just want to make sure that you're using someone that's very reputable, because you guys know the story. Most of you guys know the story of Wendell. Well, Wendell gave the contractor $30,000 and you guys have seen his most of you guys have seen his property. And Wendell gave him $30,000 and never heard from the contractor again. And so I'll get to that, but while I'm on that, never ever give the contractor that much money up front. Always have a draw schedule. I like my draw schedule to be in thirds, a third, a third, a third. But let's just say, for example, the budget is $90,000. So a third, a third, a third is 30, 30, 30. $30,000 is too much to give to a contractor. So I would either break it into 4 draws or start the first draw with half the draw. Give them half or even less than half just to get started and let them work up to the first draw. Keeping in mind that the lender is not going to give you the money for the first draw until the work in the first draw is completed. You've got unqualified workers, unlicensed or uninsured workers. So you want to make sure that they're licensed. You want to look up their license, make sure they're insured. Unclear contracts with vague terms. You want to use your contract. I think I have a contract in the toolkit. Delays and poor work, poor communication, constant delays, and shoddy workmanship. And so one of the best ways to combat delays is to show up. You got to show up. If they know that you're not going to be there, guess what? They're not going to be there and they're going to take on other jobs. So you've got to make sure that that you show up, or you've got somebody showing up, be it a project manager, somebody. They've got to know that somebody's showing up. And then if you see bad workmanship or poor work, you got to stop them and let them know. You cannot be afraid to talk to them. And just know, and then if you're dealing with contractors that are licensed and bonded, contractors have what's called a guaranteed fund. So you can always report them to the guaranteed fund and recoup some of your money. Where to find qualified contractors? Networking.
So I have a question before you move on. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. Have you ever like gave them a contract and then like ran it through ChatGPT and gave them a Spanish copy in Spanish?
No, I've never done that. Okay.
Because I find like there is also like a misunderstanding, I think, cross language barrier when it comes to certain contractors. I don't know, there's just something that.
No, I agree. I think that's a good idea, though. I think it's a good idea. So there's no misunderstanding. All right, where do you find them? I always say referrals. Just getting referrals. I think some of the worst places to get them are at well, they're not even at 7-Eleven anymore because of deportation, or in front of Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't see them there like I used to because they're afraid that ICE is going to be around the corner to get them.
Greg, this is recorded.
I don't think I said anything. I don't think I don't, maybe I did.
Certain Home Depots, they are still there, Greg.
Is that right? Well, maybe they're
Yep.
legal. Maybe those are legal.
Maybe.
Material suppliers, know of good contractors, online groups, service websites like Angie's List and Home Advisor. I flipped a property in Baltimore County in Essex, a place called Essex in Baltimore County. And I didn't want to bring my contractors from DC. And so I went to homeadvisor.com. And then for each trade, I got 3 estimates from Home Advisor, and I flipped the property. I kind of acted as the general contractor, even though I tried to hire a general contractor. I did give a general contractor a portion of the work, but then some of the trades I went ahead and hired myself because I'd looked to see how they itemized some of the trades and it was too high. And so I gave them part of the project and I gave the other part of the project to some of the someone else that I found on Home Advisor. And so that's something else, you guys. When a contractor gives you, a general contractor gives you a quote, let's say they give you a quote of $100,000, really take a look at it. Take a hard look at it, because what you can do is let them do a portion of the work. For example, recently, a contractor was charging $25,000 to renovate it was a whole job, whole house, 3-level house. But the contractor was charging $25,000 to renovate the basement. And so I looked at that and I said to myself, it doesn't take $25,000 to renovate a basement. So I had another contractor go over and just look at the basement. And I got him down to $25,000. So saved $10,000 using 2 different contractors. Make sure you always check the reviews, you guys, for your contractor. Check their reviews. All right, how are we vetting our contractor? Check their references, get 3 references. Check their license, make sure that the license is bonded. Google them, try to Google them anyway. Visit current job sites and inspect quality and cleanliness. And then ask about the subcontractors who really are doing the work. So you want to ask about who's doing the work. Most general contractors don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to do the work. They feel like they've already gone through that process in their lives. So you might be hiring a crew. I like hiring a crew where the general contractor's doing some work because the job just gets done a lot faster. And so, but a lot of them are just, sometimes you pull up, they're there, but they're just sitting in their car, pointing. And so if they were out actually helping, the project would get done a lot quicker. Am I talking about you, James? Are you a pointer?
I'm silent.
I think you're a pointer, James. I don't think you want to get your hands dirty. All right, red flags to watch out for. Large upfront payment. Asking for more than 30% upfront. We're not giving that much money, right? Contract issues. No written contracts or vague language. Make sure you have strong contracts, even if you've got to get an attorney to write the contract. Pressuring you to make quick decisions. One thing I do want to mention while it's on my mind is, and we've talked about this before, is unfortunately contractors try to take advantage of female investors. Number one, they don't think that the female investor knows what they're doing. Number two, I feel like they're envious of the female investor. And so in some instances, as much as it's unfair, some of you ladies may want to consider, and I'd like to get your feedback on it, taking a male with you. Or I think, Akia, you mentioned earlier, I don't know if it's in the same context, of not even letting the contractor know it's your property.
Yeah.
Because they think that they can run over a female, or a female doesn't know what they're doing. And I actually think in most cases they're just jealous. There's a lot of envy there. So just be careful about that.
Hey, Greg, you're point on with that, because I experienced that with one of my contractors. He tried to charge more, require more for supplies than were necessary. He calculated the measurements for my flooring, and it was going to cost me more money because he was short. And so I said, well, I guess you're eating that cost because I'm not paying it because I purchased based on your calc. So, once he figured out that I wasn't playing, then it was like everything else was good from that point on.
Honestly, you've got to be tough with them. And if you're not tough, they're going to try to run over you. So they've got to know that you mean business. And if not, they will try to get away with things.
And just to add too, like, I mean, Home Depot is one of my favorite stores, so I would live in there regardless. But I like to go there too, other than when I'm grabbing something, just to study how much material costs, right? Know how much drywall costs off the top of my head. Know how much, right? Like that's helpful. Because particularly if if they're giving you a quote, which is labor and materials included, like I can riddle my mind like, materials are only going to cost this. So you're kind of bulking up the labor cost, especially if the project's not really labor intensive. So just being able to just talk out with them on the spot, knowing the materials in my head, that's like really helpful.
Yeah, and you want to count. You want to count drywall, you want to count the studs, the 2x4s. You want to count. And what Marquise will tell you is if they say that they need, say, 20 pieces of drywall, he'll get 18. And he'll make them use some of the pieces that they've cut up. But he'd rather go back than get more and spend that money. Other red flags, permit avoidance, and I've seen that a lot, unwilling to pull permits. Most contractors, you guys, are unwilling to pull permits. They don't want to pull permits. And permits are going to get you in trouble. One of my investors, AIM investor from Saturday, hates pulling permits. She hates pulling permits. And so she called me on a project she did on North Capitol Street and got a stop work order. And that held her project up a couple months because she did a full-blown gut renovation. Full-blown gut renovation. Beautiful though, beautiful, with no permits. She didn't pull one permit and did everything. New HVAC, all new electrical wiring, all new plumbing. She added square footage, added like everything that you need a permit for, she did. And she didn't even put in DC, you can get what's called a postcard permit. You can pull that yourself. You can go online. She didn't even have a postcard permit. And again, she calls me at the end. I said, yeah, you need permits. And then she was like, well, what'd you say?
Neighbor turn her in?
Always. It's always the neighbor. And then she called me in to save the day. In DC, you can get what's called a third-party inspector. And so I think that's what we did on that one. All right, avoids giving references or written scope of work. And so if they're not willing to do those things, you guys, you don't want to deal with them. Negotiate like a pro. Compare multiple bids, and the lowest is not always the best. Break down the cost. Ask for material and labor pricing to be separated. Structure your payments. Pay in draws based on milestones, not dates. Add incentives. Offer bonuses for early completion. Penalties for delays. A lot of people write that in their subcontractors agreements. They charge them like $100 a day. They'll say, when are you going to be done? They may say 90 days. And then in the agreement, they'll give them 100 days. And then every day after the 100 day, they charge them they penalize them $100. Never pay final payment until the punch out list is completed. Some contractors won't even pay the final payment until the property goes under contract and that buyer has a home inspection. They won't even give them the final payment until then. Because you give them the final payment, let's just say after all the punch out items are done. And then the buyer, they put it on the market, get it sold. Buyer has a home inspection. Home inspector comes with 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different things. Contractors nowhere to be found. Contractors nowhere to be found. So what a lot of investors do is they hold back some money, just a little bit of money, to make sure that that contractor is coming back to fix whatever comes from the home inspection. Let's see. Building long-term contractor relationships. To me, that's kind of the key to it all. Get a contractor that you work well with, that does things on time, comes in under budget or on budget, and try to keep that contractor. Try to keep them, treat them well, feed them, refer them business, have clear communications with them. I've got contractors that anything to do with my own personal house or houses, they'll just come and do, won't even charge me. But that's just the relationship that I've built with them. As much as we negotiate, you guys, now I'll beat Dana to this. We don't want to out negotiate ourselves. So we want to be fair with our payments. We want to be fair. Sometimes their quote is too low and I know it's low. So in my mind, they may quote whatever, 50,000. And I'm like, I know this is at least a $60,000 job. So I'm okay when they come to me and say, there's change orders. They may or may not, but I just want to be fair. And so you want to be fair with them. They've got families, they've got livelihoods. You don't want them to overcharge you or take advantage of you. You just want them to be fair. And if they're fair, you're willing to pay them. Consistent work, provide consistent work to the good ones, and partnership mindset. Treat them like business partners, not just workers. And so what I've done actually is I've actually partnered with some of my contractors on projects. We've been partners. I've found a property. I've gotten the acquisition money. They took care of the renovation money and the renovations. And in the end, we split the profits. And so I've partnered with some of them. Get a sample contractors agreement, of which we have a punch list, a payment draw schedule, and scope of work, of which we have. And you just want to make sure that you're getting references, license, and insurance. Any questions, you guys? Did I answer all your questions? Are you now not fearful of contractors? Or are you more fearful of contractors? Or is it too late and you guys are just ready to?
I remain concerned about contractors, but I appreciate, this presentation. And I mean, some of this I so agree with. I mean, I did it like with our church, the railing guy. I mean, he said to me, he said, Alex, I wish all my clients were like you. Well, it's just fair to me to give you your deposit and then your first payment when you start working and then your final payment. And the man's house was on my way to the office. So I just went and put it in his mailbox. I didn't think anything of it, but apparently he has trouble getting paid. That's crazy to me, especially if you're doing good work.
Ordinarily, he has trouble.
Yeah, it shocked me, but I don't.
Well, there's a other end. There's a other end to this too. I
Okay.
mean, we're talking about all the pitfalls of contractors. They have a lot of pitfalls for investors
For investors.
who run out of money. And so there's another side to the story, and that's probably where he was coming from with you. He's
I,
ex-
wi- I,
uh, uh, he's experienced investors not paying him.
yeah, he was so happy. I mean, I'm just like, well, you're supposed to get paid. But yeah, like you said, clearly he had been beat down over the years. So I wish I had more railings to have him install. I really wish I did.
Well, hopefully you'll have some. Oh, also all he does is railings.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a welder. Well, I'm like you said, yeah, I'm gonna have some work for. I'm gonna find it.
Okay. Okay. All right, you guys. Any other questions, comments, takeaways? Anybody?
Hey, I would like to say something if I may. What is this? Today is Tuesday. Last week on the 1st, I went to the Harlem Park Community Monthly Meeting and met up with Alex. And I would like to say that I was thoroughly impressed with the devotion, the input, the community togetherness. Harlem Park really has it going on, and it's a really great opportunity. It's a diamond in the rough that is definitely working its way. So I wanted to thank Alex again for that opportunity that he offered to all of us in the Platinum Group to come to those meetings that occur on the first, what was it, the first Thursday, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Thursday of every month. It was
Yep.
very, very informative. Thank
Yep.
you.
First one. Now, Greg, one of the things that the neighborhood council wants to do in the fall is develop a book of, contractors. Some of the neighborhoods in Baltimore, especially the higher end ones, because there are restrictions on what you can and can't do, they all have listings of contractors that should be called. Neighbors have had good experiences with them. So they're actually working on that in the fall to actually come up with a listing. Just
That's
easier for the, yeah, it's just easier for the resident.
No, that's real good. Dana, are you with us, Dana? I'd like to hear from you, you being a contractor. You with us, Dana?
Yes, Greg. Yes.
Talk to me, Dana. What's your takeaway?
Well, Greg, I think that is important what you said. You hit it right on the head with find a good contractor and build a relationship. Be nice to your contractor once you find a good one, because that, trust means everything. And if you find someone you can trust that's doing you right, I would go a little above and beyond to make that person happy. Because, and the people on this call right now who've had bad experiences already, and it's just a loss of money when you don't have the right contractor. It's time, which is money. So yes, so do your due diligence, find the right contractor, and you're not gonna get it right the first time, mostly, but when you find that one, hold on to them. That's my takeaway.
That's a good takeaway.
Yes.
I hope I'm nice to you, Dana.
You are great. You're too nice to me, Greg.
Anybody else? I know we've kind of run late. Anybody else?
I had a question. I was just going to ask if you had any advice for out-of-state investors. One thing I had learned about some of the smaller jobs that I was having done was that they would only take pictures of certain angles. And so then if I didn't get that other angle, I wouldn't find out until I went to the property that they didn't get that side done. So do you have any advice for out-of-state investors?
I would just highly advise, to be honest, a project manager. Just hiring a project manager. A project manager that can check on the contractors a few times a week, that know the codes, know what permits need to be pulled, that kind of thing. That will meet with the inspectors, so you don't necessarily have to. That's what I would highly recommend for you is having a project manager. Someone that's affordable, but someone that's going to be there, because that's just going to save you a ton of money, but I think more importantly, a ton of time. So just
I'm
getting
gonna,
a,
Thank you. That's great advice.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Greg. I am definitely available for that if anybody needs that, and we can negotiate for a cost, but I'm available.
okay, James.
If I can add something too, like I've had to fire several contractors in the past, and the first time I did it, I didn't have anyone with me, and it was pretty scary. Like, you know, it's just me by myself and like a guy, and he just got like really aggressive and he got scary. So recently, when I had to fire someone, I had a male friend come with me, and I feel like moving forward, as a woman investor, that's something I would highly recommend. Yeah.
I definitely agree. All right, so we went over a lot of stuff tonight, you guys. Oh, one other thing I want to mention, I'll talk more about it next Tuesday. I do plan to have a shadow event this Saturday. You guys will get more, those that can make it, more information on that, probably starting tomorrow. And if you have any properties in mind that you want us to take a look at, actual properties that we can write contracts on, just let us know. But and so I'm working on what happens when your agreement with us expires. And so most of you guys are on like a 16-week plan. If it started off 12 weeks, I extended it to 16. So it's 16 weeks. I've got like 90% of the renewal done. I'll have the rest done, but it'll be more of continuing with what we're doing, probably minus the shadow events, and then with a small, probably monthly fee. But I'll be able to tell you guys all about that, if not Saturday next week. Anybody else? Josiah and Adebayo, you guys hanging? You guys hanging with us? You be all right?
Yeah, we learned a lot
Yep.
tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of good information. I think one area that I used to do that I backed up from, and this is just like the fire again, is that the tax lien. Get back to tax lien and pursue that area when it comes to investing.
Okay. Well, if there's any way I can help you with that, just let me know. If you want a list, or anything, just let me know.
Definitely want a list if I can get it.
Okay. Send me a text message on exactly what you want, maybe just the zip code, and
Okay.
I'll forward that to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
That goes for anybody else. All right, you guys, that's all I have. It's been a long day. Thank you guys for all your support. Those that are available Saturday, looking forward to seeing you guys. We'll send out all the instructions, the list of properties, that kind of thing, starting tomorrow, but as the week goes on. All right, you guys, take care. God bless, and we will talk to you guys soon. Good night, everybody.
God bless.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
night.
Thank you.